Okay, good afternoon or early evening. This is the special Board of Selectmen meeting on December 9th, 2024 at 5:00 p.m. Present are Select Woman Jude Reed, Selectman Jim Lampost, First Select Woman Martha Shoemaker. And I'm going to start by apologizing that we did not have our Board of Selectmen meeting last week. We had a little technological glitch the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I sent the email with our agenda to our town clerk's office at like 2:00 in the afternoon. And unfortunately, my outbox decided to not send it all the way. So it was sitting as a draft when I walked in on Monday morning. Actually, when Mr. Lamppost called me at 8:30 on Sunday night and said, "Where's our agenda? It's not up." So we had to cancel that meeting because we did not give prior notice. And that is why it was not here last week. So instead, we're here on a special meeting on a nice rainy night. And we're going to go over some information items, communications and correspondence. I will just let Jim and Jude know that we've had some resignations from our committees and commissions and boards. Michael McGee has resigned from Harbor Management. Michael Foliano is stepping down from the Shoreline Gateway. He's also stepping down as our rep to regional housing. Someone from affordable housing will have to replace him for that. And Margaret J. DeRizio is stepping down from EDC and not asking to be reappointed in January. So those are the ones that I have thus far.
Can I ask a question on
Sure.
Mr. Fogliano? He's staying on zoning,
Yes.
and is he still on affordable housing?
Yes, he's still
Okay.
on affordable housing. He's still on
Okay,
affordable housing.
great. Just
Yes.
clarifying. Thank you.
He was just
Yes, he's had enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so some other information items that I have going forward. We did receive the signed IMA from New London. That means all the private beach associations, myself and anyone else who needed to sign it, was received about a week ago. We also received approval from DEEP for our swim zone at White Sands Beach. So now we're legal after all these years. And Matt Lynch and I will be having a meeting to discuss the new placement going in. I also heard from Lou DeCamillo, who regarding some leaves that had been accumulating because of the town green across from his house. And Ed and the public works crew was a little behind on leaf removal, but they got out there and took care of it. And then I got a lovely thank you note from Joanne's thanking that they had taken care of it, as well as repairing some paving that was in front of their house. I did hear from Scott Bullinger regarding a meeting to talk about the beaches and the findings as far as how we supplement some of the security, et cetera, issues. And we're going to have to set up another meeting. They would like to talk about the stipend history and related data that they have uncovered. And I'll be getting in touch. I know Scott's on the line, so I'll be in touch with you soon to set that up. If either one of you want to meet with him. Jude, I know you've been for years on the Board of Finance, so if you have any history that you want to meet with them, that is fine as well.
Is it all the beach associations or
Scott's just asking for himself to come. I think there probably is someone else, some others that are.
If you make a meeting date and just copy me on it, I'll try to attend.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Is that okay if you're there?
Well, we'll figure it out.
Sit across the room. Okay.
We'll go in and out.
Okay.
Okay. I also heard from Tom Larson about the pipe being cleaned out, and then he sent me a thank you note that it was for the Swanbrook Sluiceway. Diana Prince sent me an email. She'll be coming to our meeting next week. I also, as you both know, we did not get the funding for the National Wildlife Federation grant, which we got all the way to round 2. and thought we had a pretty good shot at it, but we did not get it. So that's something else we'll have to look for other funding for our shoreline marshland restoration. And also, there's just been a slight change for traffic control for the schools. As you know, we pay the traffic controller at the school's request. So Jenna is usually in front of the high school, but due to a lot of traffic backup down at Mile Creek School, it was determined that we'd be asking her to move. And I don't know what a start date would be. But she would go to Mile Creek.
Similar hours, or will she do some
No.
coverage here and then move over there?
She's just going to move over there, but
Okay.
different hours. And they have established that between, I let Region 18 and the
You
police
talked
department
about that
handle
the
that.
other day, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And I think, let's see if there's anything else. Scott's. I did get a wonderful letter on the return from Thanksgiving from Jim Campbell, and he said, "Dear Selectwoman Shoemaker, you may already be aware how exceptional some of your staff is. Eric Knapp and Vicky Urbowitz have repeatedly demonstrated elite levels of responsive thoroughness and professionalism that are unfortunately aspirational for the rest of us mere mortals. We are so lucky to have this quality of personnel representing our town," which is a great letter to come back to after the Thanksgiving holiday. I also have a letter from Dean Marino, and Jim, I'm going to ask you to look at this just a little bit because there's a wonderful map of the beach shore area, but it is regarding snow removal from the roadway of Swan and Hartung Place. So he sent some photos. I'm just going to ask if you'll read through it, but basically who's responsible for it? Who, this has always been a question, right?
Right.
I mean, who takes care of it in the off season? So I'm going to ask you to just, because you've got that history of that wonderful down at the beach stuff. And then I did hear from Judy Townley, and she just wanted to see if anybody followed up on my suggestions from our October 10th meeting and wanted me to know that she strongly supports the Halls Road overlay proposals and hope that they get approved. And Lenny Cordo sent me a list of things that he's concerned about. This is really a official correspondence for Road and Public Safety Committee, which I will get to their people.
And he sent a couple more after that.
Oh.
Today. Yes.
Oh, I didn't get it. I don't know if I
there-
got it.
Yeah,
But okay.
You want to go with those, Jude?
Yes, do you have them?
I have them. Do you want to
Yes.
do it now?
No, if
Yes.
you want to talk about them, yeah. like
Yes.
it's-
What did
Are
he?
you- He said can I read it?
Sure.
Okay. This is Lenny Cordo to myself and Jim after he wrote to you. Jim, you responded
I did.
and you saw that, right, Martha?
I don't know if I did because
Okay.
I'm catching up on my emails from today. I only went
Okay.
as far as this morning.
Let's see. Well, what came after Jim's? Jim made reference to the summer driving lane. At the very end of this past summer, a lane was developed and marked off at the top of the beach from the south property line of the Pond Road houses going south about 10 feet towards the water. This is Jim's response. That lane was pretty much kept clear and marked off with cones, and that was beach access for the buggy, so it wouldn't be driving all over the beach, disturbing people, which I thought was a good plan. It seemed to work when I saw it, and I hear it improved the situation a lot. Have you heard otherwise? Personally, I'd like to see the lane continue next season, starting Memorial Day. And if we still have issues, then we need to find a different solution, but I'll bring it up today, Monday, regardless. And then Lenny's comments were about procedure and things with Soundview. Is it commission or committee?
Commission.
Okay. This is from Lenny. I think it's important to make sure the SVC, number one, makes official recommendations that they vote on, and two, create standard operating procedures that are voted on to be recommended or implemented. Those are the core functions of the commission. In a time when transparency and government efficiency is important to many citizens, does the Soundview Commission publish their annual report and letter to the selectmen?
They do.
Do they?
That's in our annual report, in which he FOIA'd, and we gave him a copy of the annual
Okay.
report.
Do they vote on all of those recommendations?
They're supposed to come before us as well to make recommendations.
Do they have a set of standard operating they have developed and voted to implement or officially recommend now 15 years of the commission serving the town? So is there a procedures that's standard that we
There
use
is.
with them? There is,
Yeah.
okay. Did they discuss and field questions about the ATV situation for 3+ years and receive complaints about people almost being killed and still failed to make any official recommendation when the public demanded a vote or a recommendation?
They did make,
I
there
thought,
were numerous complaints.
Mhm.
And when I took office and we did the beach opening meeting, I said that we needed to have a lane.
okay,
And then
and that's what was instituted this summer, correct?
I believe
Okay.
that was at the end of the summer. Is that when that was
it was supposed to
implemented?
be done for the season.
Yeah,
Well,
but it was, I saw it implemented like in.
I'm in agreement.
So am
do
I,
not-
so I'm
I
just.
do not think that the ATV should be all over the beach,
I agree with you.
unless it's an emergency
Of course,
situation,
and then
and
it
then
cut through.
people are going to be cleared away by the police.
So the rules and policy procedures should be set up prior to the summer, if not already. Then he goes on to say, I think Jim is on the right track for a vision for the ATV situation. And I believe official recommendations, standard operating procedures, implementation, and commissions that consistently perform their primary duties is the way government should work. Agreed. I think the chairman has consistently failed to make recommendations. This is, I think it's personal, a little with Lenny and Frank. On persistent issues that pose liability, and I think he has consistently failed to develop any standard procedures. These are my opinions. It's up to you to ask the above questions to the Soundview Commission members and regular meeting attendees. And the important question is why the answer is no, and should we have a town government that can't get the work done that was part of their official charge as a committee? Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Okay.
So if my memory serves me well, we have not asked Mr. Papalardo to, as one of the commissions, to come in and give us a heads up.
Or an update, a review.
And January for us is going to be extremely busy
Mhm.
with the budget. So perhaps we ask for him to come at a Board of Selectmen meeting in February,
I'm fine with that.
and then we can review
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And that's also an opportune time to, as we get ready for the summer season.
Do you have co-chairs on the Soundview Commission?
I don't think so.
No, I didn't know if it
yeah.
was.
They have
I knew you
he
have
and
a committee,
Michaela Pearson.
but I didn't know if they were co-chairs or
They're not
Michaela
co-chairs.
just.
He's the chair.
He's the
Yeah.
chair, she's the
Yeah.
vice chair, and then
Okay.
they have a not a treasurer. They have someone in charge.
We're not really asking about their,
et cetera.
there's no
But
inquisition here in financial.
It's,
my-
there's a lot of questions.
You're,
Well, yeah.
you live there, so I think you have a better handle.
Step in a little bit, because Lenny makes a lot of good points, you know.
does.
And he's a valuable member of the community. And, you know, sometimes he's, you know, the way he makes the points isn't, you know, the most advisable, but it doesn't mean that his points aren't valid. There is an operating procedure, and it's been frustrating for people on the Soundview Commission and people living in Soundview when it's not implemented. Again, you know, we get to May and it's supposed
Right,
to
and
hit
then
these
hurry
marks on Memorial Day, and it's like, and it's Groundhog Day instead, you know, where it's the same thing every year. Why isn't this? Why isn't that? A lot of times there's a good reason. I mean, this year, once again, we're like, swim lines go in Memorial Day, and guess what? Swim
But
lines
no,
were
they
not,
couldn't go in, right?
you know.
Well, it wasn't.
And because of, you know, the handoff to, you know, a new provider, you know,
Mhm.
who's going to,
Finding our things.
yeah, so finding our things. So there's good reasons for that not happening. We've been getting better, but it has been a point of frustration. And a lot of it's kind of inside baseball. We're not going to
Mhm.
go out to, you know, announce to everybody, hey, you know,
got a
it didn't
problem.
happen because of this, and it did, you know, when we got that, and people are like, why are you telling me this? You know, so, but maybe we can be better on communication. But I think we've all been frustrated, and we all are trying to double down on hitting those marks, you know, on Memorial Day, because it's so important to set the tone. right away. Because by July and August, people are already in their,
What I've learned just by being on this board since summer is there's a problem with the jet ski lane
Right.
and lines.
Right.
There's a problem with the HEV, maybe not having designated pathways, policies, procedures,
Right.
as well as the swim lines. And I'm sure there's many more. So the handicap parking's been addressed.
Yeah.
Sort of, at least the jet ski problem is front of mind. Maybe those things we can put on a list for discussion in February and not wait until May.
Yeah, that was.
I mean,
that was something that we had an agreement with DEP and Soundview dated to 1987, and it wasn't being enforced, and things got
Obviously.
horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were on the page about 10 years ago, and it began to be enforced. And it was great. And I think we've been in a good place where we balance the interests of the bar, where they have their boat taxi. And then this year, change of administration, the institutional memory sort of goes away, and the jet skis come back in. So that's, we kind of went along with it for a year. Yeah, we kind of went along with it. It's like, all right, let's see what happens. And there's a lot of opposition, a lot of issues there.
And unless we have an ordinance to enforce,
You can't.
we can't.
Right.
And we also have, and I know that harbor management is wondering or is looking into how to have someone's boat out there more often, because when there's a presence from harbor management,
Behavior's better.
Things starts to, from our harbor master, things seem to improve. So this is something we've never really delved into much. And so we're going to have to look into it. So we're just going to put that on another agenda.
But I would like to stand up for the chair of the Soundview Commission, because over the last 20 years, I've been in Soundview 45 years, and I've been politically involved 20 years, and things were in a very bad state in 2000.
Absolutely.
And we make 2 steps up and 1 step back. Sometimes it's frustrating. It's a step up and 10 steps back, and we keep clawing our way forward. We've made a lot of progress, to the point where, we have, the interests of the bars were not the same as the interests of the businesses on Hartford Avenue, were not the same as the interests of the residents. And even the 2 bars, they didn't have mutual interests sometimes. And the boaters versus the swimmers, we've made a lot of progress on that. And it's Soundview. It's very difficult. When I did the National Historic Registry thing, we got it on a nomination. I had people with my children in the room at a meeting, finger and face swearing at me. I've had beer bottles broken in my driveway. Politics in Soundview is bare knuckle sometimes. And Frank has taken a lot of heat. But what's happened over time is that, we have Frank Murata on the commission. Frank Pappalardo, 20 years ago, Frank Murata, to sit down and talk with him was not something I thought would happen. And now, we're all friends. We're all together on the same page. Don't always agree, but
you're willing to
we've
sit
made
down
a
and
huge amount of progress.
Well, it's pretty obvious.
And a lot of it's just sticking your neck out there, and it's going to get chopped off, unfortunately. And I just think Frank Pappalardo has taken a lot of heat, so I just want to stand up for him. And, and I know Lenny's taken a lot of heat too, so, as I've been trying to stand up for him too, but I don't want to let criticism of Frank go without comment.
No, I agree with you.
He's
And
done a great job, personally.
I think he has done a great job. And I think there's a personality issue with these two. And I agree. I think Lenny has a lot of valid points. And unfortunately, the way he communicates it,
he's getting better.
Brings bad attention, but he's much better. And
he's getting better. And
so
he's part of the dialogue, and he should be.
So let's plan on February.
Got it. Okay. Do either of you have any other communications or correspondence?
We had something from Dennis Maluzzo about teams and
That's
WPCA.
today.
Yeah. And Mary Daly sent us some questions that she
Well, I
had
think
for
she sent them to
WPCA.
WPCA and
but
CC'd us, so-
WCC'd us. So just those 2.
Okay. All right. So it's now time for public comment. And I believe we have 2 people in our audience. And we'll do audience first, and if then there's anyone online who wants to speak, we'll let them speak as well. So would either of you ladies like to do public comment?
Sure. Do public comment. I'm Allison Reither, 53 Boughton Road. I am here to address and request the assistance of the Board of Selectmen on the longstanding issue of beavers on Black Hall Pond. This issue has been, I think that there have been at least 3 appearances at this meeting, this being the 3rd or the 4th, about this issue. We have, as a small group of neighbors, towards the end of Black Hall Pond, we have tried some measure of coordination. We have, my family, myself and Blair Tinkle, my husband, have trapped. We've contacted a free trapper. The situation is not getting better. The beavers have a huge lodge on the other side of the pond. They have dams all the way down the brook. The water is backing up onto, it's eroding our property. We just 2 trees adjacent to our property on our neighbor's property. I believe it belongs to the daughter of Alan Hahn. I'm not technically sure who it's in the name of, but it's a vacant property directly next to ours, and we just lost 2 big, beautiful trees that the beavers came and basically destroyed. We have wrapped our trees with chicken wire, and that has prevented further damage. They have damaged some of our trees, and neighbor's property, Alan Hahn's, that it's turned into marshland. Our property also is getting extremely mushy.
Alan Hahn does not live there, right?
No, nobody there.
He lives out on Mile Creek or off of Mile Creek. Okay.
I believe our neighbor who has come and spoken here before, Nicole Cable, reached out to him to let him know about the fallen trees.
Okay.
And I'm not sure whether, I did not hear back from her whether or not he had responded. But I sent around pictures of the fallen trees. At any rate, we have, we've communicated in the past with the land trust to have the land further down the brook. And we've attempted to contact other owners on Jericho and further down. We kind of got together and formed a group up a petition for people to try to assist. And at the end of the day, it's a little bit more than ever now out of our hands, because the free trapper that we worked with, he did not have any success trapping on our property. We have a limited trapping season. There were some neighbors who were willing to trap, but their property was not conducive to it. It's slow. And then, additionally, there are permits required for the clearing of dams. And, and even my husband and other neighbors have done exploratory missions down the brook, at great danger to them. My husband was very strong-willed, but I asked him not to please do that again, because we have a 5-year-old daughter, and he came back, covered in scrapes and bruises, and got his foot stuck in the muck. And it's not something that I feel that we as individual homeowners should be trying to tackle. I think it is something that does lend itself to government intervention, because of the requirements of permitting and the fact that we can't trap all of the pond as would be necessary to assist the problem.
How long have you lived there?
Since June of 2000. And we became, I think my husband was first in touch with Lee Detweiler about the issue that fall. She contacted him to seek his assistance because he's an attorney and he has government experience, to get his assistance on behalf of, at that time, Dave Berggren, who was experiencing serious property damage and other consequences. So that's where we are. Certainly I can speak about the issue where we are right now. My husband is much more versed on, he was the one who coordinated with the trapper. He would be aware of the statutes that would allow for for the town to intervene on her behalf. And he could certainly come and speak the subsequent meeting, but I'm here today because I initiated the email asking for some assistance.
I've heard of this prior to my
Okay, so
becoming a
let's just
select
remember,
person.
we're in public comment.
Okay,
So Allison had reached out to me. I asked her to come to public comment and I told her that we would follow up in general discussion.
great.
So I know she cannot stay, but she can listen to the recording
Okay,
afterwards.
Okay,
Would you also like to speak?
here to support Allison. I'm Teresa Baloo. I'm in 57 Baton Road for 39 years.
Okay.
And yes, everything she said is absolutely.
Okay, terrific.
I spoke here several years ago.
Yes, you did. Okay, well, we thank you for being here on this rainy night. And Allison, I know you have another meeting to get to,
Yes, I-
but we will follow through with this in general discussion and at the end of the meeting. So that, and so you can listen to it. The recording should be up, I would think sometime to maybe tomorrow or Wednesday.
CHER. And I appreciate the audience. I'm sorry that I can't stay for the end of the meeting, but I will listen to the recording and hopefully we'll see, how do we determine the next steps? And
We'll figure out a plan. I will be in touch with you.
thank you very much.
Yep.
I appreciate your time.
You were saying? Sorry. Your name is Teresa Baloo. BALOUGA. Thank you.
Okay. Scott, you're the only one on, is there any public comment you would like to make?
Sure, just real quick. Can you hear me?
I think you're muted.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Appear to be working. We can't hear you.
All right. Do not know
So
why.
do you want, Scott, why don't you call my cell phone and I can put you on speaker? I don't know why it's not coming up. He calls.
Mhm.
Let's see. Ah, perfect. Thank
Thank
you.
you for calling. Let me put you in speaker so everyone can hear.
All
All
right,
right,
can you
can
hear
you
us?
hear?
Scott? Okay, I'm gonna put you near the speaker so that we can pick you up. Would you have some public comment?
Yeah, real quick. Just wanted to clarify. Hold on, I'm getting feedback.
Yeah, you gotta turn the computer off while you're on the phone. Or computer, yeah,
How's that?
that sounds
All right.
better.
So I just wanted to make comment on the couple of things. One is on the 10-foot, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, police lane that was requested through discussions in the springtime through Matt and Miami Beach. And that's why that was put in place. It seemed to work well. We may obviously look forward to talking in February to maybe, see extending it or whatever, but it appeared to work pretty well. I'm sure there's going to always be complaints one way or the other, but as was brought up with comments that, it's a nice way to move the buggy from one area to the other to do their patrols. I do know in conjunction with, trying to keep the buggy from going in and around people or along the water line. It also was a request based on they didn't want to walk the beach. So that might be something we can revisit during February to discuss that. As far as the taxi lane that now is somewhat being called and/or jet ski lane, and I think we went wider with it. There's been some goodnesses there, but there's also a matter of, it was never intended to be a jet ski lane. It was supposed to be for the taxi to come in and out for the one bar or the, whatever. And now we are creating something that, because we can't deal with how the jet skis, tie up the swim lines or whatever, we created a wider path and some kind of a line in the middle to try to satisfy the jet ski people. I mean, anyway, my opinion, put them on the outside with the boats and they'd be fine. We shouldn't have any issues with jet skis coming in that lane or not doing what they're supposed to do. But anyways, I appreciate all the work you guys do. Smooth way, I'll look for what you're talking about. I was there Sunday morning. One side is one side's clogged, the other side's halfway clogged, but it's draining, which is a great thing. We've dug out a couple of sections in Miami Beach of the brook. Which is actually should be, or it appears of what I can see, actually helping the water flow much better in the lower ends from the pond section on Pond Road. We have dug a nice spruce way over behind Larson's area to that pond to a drain. So everything seems to be draining a lot better. We look forward to getting this crib system put up and maybe dredged out the sand from the area so that maybe we can see how that works. But that's about all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Okay. There's no other public comment as there's no one else here. So we're going to move on to approval of minutes. And the minutes from October 15th, which is like a PhD program. Because our transcription, and I'm just going to say this on public record, we had 30 minutes of transcription on our teams. And then for some reason, it decided, evidently, our meeting was going too long and decided not to transcribe into the second section.
Meeting room upstairs. Yep.
So we had to, I personally purchased another transcription service, put my phone next to the playback of the meeting, transcribed it, sent it to myself, had to go through and decide who was talking because we were all talking about sewers, and worked it out and then sent it to Jim and Jude to sort of clarify. And I appreciate both your help with the editing because it was very lengthy and it came out to be 57 pages because it was triple spaced and who knows what, but we got it down and it's here. And are there any other changes that need to be made in this?
I went through after Jim and made a few changes and I gave it to Katie. Jim did a great job.
And I think, and we made those changes. Yeah.
So it looks good.
Okay. Anything? Okay. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 15th Special Board of Selectmen meeting?
I'll make the motion to approve the October 15th minutes.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the Special Board of Selectmen meeting minutes of October 15th, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, then we have our minute meetings from November 18th. Our regular meeting of November 18th at 5:30. Are there any corrections that you see on those 3 pages?
I have just one typo
Sure.
on page 2,
Mhm.
second paragraph. First line under community heart and soul says community heat. It should say community heart.
Correct. Thank you, Jude.
Yeah,
Okay. Jim, anything?
Nothing further.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the minutes of November 18th, 2024 as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as of November 18th as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, those are done. Moving on to our first thing. So if you have your calendars available, we need to look at some budget review dates. And I'll just give you an update that Anita and I are scheduling with some departments and commissions this month to just do a brief review of their budget, to kind of break it down, make sure it's been handed in, et cetera. So we're doing that to just do a little bit of footwork ahead of time. And we need to figure out how to set up our meetings in January. Those Monday holidays really interfere with our lives because I know, Jim, that's your easiest day. Of course, we could meet on Martin Luther King Day. It's just not a day for town hall. But, so
Can you
We-
do that? Is it a public meeting? Would it have to be open to the public?
we
The
always,
three of us?
well, these budget reviews usually are open to the public. I mean, they should be.
Hmm.
Because the
So,
three of us are here. So, I think, looking at it, we have the 6th, the 13th, and the 27th, which are available. Great dates for Jim.
So nothing in December. We had discussed that at one point.
Yeah.
Okay.
December is getting a little cluttered with,
I can do Mondays.
unless Jim, you want to do something on the 23rd,
I can certainly do 23. I can do the following.
30th
as well.
too.
Yeah.
We do have the
I can-
23rd and the 30th. Do you want to try for those? Jim?
Are we talking Thursday? Oh, you mean
December.
of this month? No, I can't. I'm out of town.
Okay, so
Sorry.
choose away.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Any chance you could call it? Or is it too busy?
I'm in the road.
Okay,
On
that's
that
fine.
Monday, the 23rd, I'll be in a car.
Okay. All right, so,
I could do the 30th. I should be back, the night before.
okay. So let's try, I'll try to get some scheduled for the 30th, the 6th, the 13th.
30th, 6th, Board of Selectmen, and 13th. Okay.
Right.
What day is Martin Luther King, the 13th or 20th?
The 20th
Okay.
and the 27th. And then Board of Finance meets on the 21st.
Okay, can we go back for a second? You
Sure.
said you're gonna try to schedule something for 6, 13, 20, and 27?
Yeah, because last time we did 3 and everybody thought it was a little overkill. We won't have as many because we're hoping, for those commissions or boards that are pretty much a flat budget. I don't see any reason, I mean, unless you do, I mean,
So we're
if you
talking
want,
5 Mondays, counting the 30th, 6, 13, 20, and 27?
not 20, because 20 is Monday, Martin Luther King.
Okay, I thought we,
Yeah.
okay.
Unless, let's put
I'm
it this,
fine with it.
let's put it this way, we put them in, and if we have to pull the 20th, we can. We can always add it as a special meeting. We feel we need to. Do you have any thoughts on whether or not, if a commission, like, I'll use like Shoreline Gateway, if they have a pretty much flat budget, as you know, the only thing that they had in capital last year was their survey, which at this point in time, I believe is, although it's not finalized, but it was done. So haven't seen their budget yet, but I'm not anticipating that they're going to be coming back with any big asks.
I think the heavy ones are the ones that are least prepared, Public Works. And
Actually, Public Works is in.
Good.
Budget.
But I mean, we had to go over it a couple of times
Right.
last year, and the same thing with Dave Roberge,
Right.
because it's not their strength. So, and if you're meeting with all of them before, by the time it comes to us, it shouldn't be hours long.
Right,
It should be a quick review and over with.
right. And town clerk and building
Hmm.
and land use are pretty much straightforward.
I'd
I mean,
still like to
No,
see it
oh,
if
no,
that's
no,
what
no,
you're
no.
asking.
What I'm
Yeah.
just saying is they go a
They
little
should
bit
go
faster.
faster. And I don't think we need 4 or 6 hour meetings on these Mondays.
Well, we'll try not to. And also, if they're better prepared, they shouldn't be taking, I mean, a budget with 3 lines should not be a half hour, 45-minute meeting. It should be 15 minutes in and out the door.
Especially you're meeting with them before it comes to us, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, a lot of it too is I think last year, you know, the
Was new.
three of us were new
It's all new.
at
get it.
working together, and we all had interest in kind of fine toothing it, understanding the ins
Understood.
and outs of the budget. And I think we have a pretty good handle on a lot of. We've already pre-approved a lot of stuff in a sense. So if there's no major changes, I think it should be pretty pro forma. But if something,
And I think having you and Anita meeting with them before they meet with us, which is, you're cutting down the time as well there.
We're trying.
Okay, so tentatively the 3rd, the 6th, the 13th, and the 27th.
Yes.
Okay,
And I will sit with Anita as we go through that.
great.
Okay. Our Citizen of the Year, our applications will open up on the 13th. And I was thinking, and I wanted your input on this, if we open these on the 13th in my Friday newsletter and draw them to the new application that is online for 2024, do you feel it's enough time if I ask for those to be due in by December 31st? That would give them 2 weeks and 2 days. It is over the holidays, so we could go another week if you wanted and go to the 3rd of January.
I think considering the applications for all the boards and commissions and committees we asked for.
This is for Citizen.
I understand, but we did that last year,
Yeah.
and I think over the holiday, people struggle. I would like to see it go a further week.
So Citizen of the Year
Yep.
will go till January 3rd.
Yep.
Is that agreeable with you, Jim?
it is.
Okay, so the next set is January appointment schedule, and I will say I am very grateful to our boards, commissions, and chairs who have already put out to their people who is up for reappointment, and some of those people have already gotten in applications.
The people I know, based on last year, have been telling people, even if you're not up for reappointment, because last year you had to reapply, whether you're up for reappointment or, well, that's how it was interpreted. So, they're asking everyone to apply.
I've been at some of those meetings. They've not asked everyone to apply. They've said.
I'm not
"You're
saying
up."
this year, last year, a lot of people thought they had to. I'm
But
not saying
we
they
didn't
did.
get every applications from anyone. That was not the case. We had a hard time getting people who were up for reappointment to reapply, but they were pretty good about getting them in once we got to them. So we have to go, one of the things is on our Board of Selectmen meeting, we have 2 meetings. Their terms are up on supposedly January 24th, because it says 25th, but the 24th is the last day. So we can appoint on the 6th and the 27th. We could do a few on the 30th if those but I hate to say, I think they should be granted the same amount of time to get their applications in. And I can put that in my newsletter as well this week, that your applications should be due in by January 3rd, but there's always a few last people who read things right after the holidays. So any thoughts on how you'd like to do it? Time frame?
I think the 3rd is pretty reasonable.
I think that works.
Okay. All right. And I'll have Katie send out words to boards, chairs, commissions. A few of our boards, chairs, and commissions do not have December meetings, but she will make sure that they are aware. Okay, Jim, Solstice Stone Project.
Yeah, so to review briefly, down in Soundview, we have what's called the Transit Hub, and that is a bus stop. It has facilities for bike maintenance. It's got a bike rack. It's got an air pump. And it was designed to facilitate people coming in and out of Soundview, and to make the area a little bit more friendly, especially in times when people, when there's a lot of traffic, can't get any more cars in there. And luckily, the Transit Hub, along with the sidewalks on Shore Road, were done under our CCG grant, which we didn't anticipate saving as much money as we did. So we were able to do not only all of Hartford, but all of Shore, and get this Transit Hub into boot. What it didn't cover his placemaking, signage. We're looking at doing some signage and some artwork so that when you enter Soundview, you're not just coming into, every place America. It's not just a gas station and a 7-Eleven or what have you, that you're at someplace, this is an interesting place. So we had kicked that around. The funding wasn't there under the grant. We got very, very, very lucky that when there's construction coming out of Soundview, there's a home being built at Old Lyme Shores, well, outside of Old Lyme Shores in Edgeley. And that's all bedrock in there. And they were excavating and they took up some gorgeous pieces of bedrock. And this bedrock is the same that you see down at the beach at Flat Rock Saltworks Point. It's in all of the geological surveys. It's written about extensively. It's significant. And the most beautiful piece of bedrock was offered to us for free. And not only that, but the homeowner, Jason Giaccaruzzo, not only gave it to us for free, the best piece there, but he delivered it and set it for nothing. So we got very, very lucky. It's a beautiful stone, and we set it pointing at the rising sun on the solstice in tribute to some Native American sites that we have here in town. So it forms a couple of functions. One, it's a placemaking device. It's a beautiful piece, conversation piece, but also when you look at the stone, the whole geological history of our very unique area is exampled in that stone. So it's a great teaching tool. And one thing we don't have down there is a sign. So I would propose having a sign that's like a welcome to Soundview sign, informational, two-sided, that will discuss the natural geological history of our town, that would discuss pre-colonial Native American history, and that would discuss the development of the beaches. So you know where you are, basically. And that when kids come down there, or when tourists come by, or people are hanging out in that little Vest Pocket Park, like, well, this isn't just a rock. There's a purpose for it being here, and to create more of a sense of place and value in Soundview. I think the cost would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,000. So I want to throw that out there. Not a decision we're going to make today, but I'd like to maybe get that ball rolling for next year to see if we can do something along those lines.
So I'm sure that you would be willing to do the history that you feel is important.
I'd be willing to write it up, and it'd be
Yeah.
great if we could find someone local, maybe from the Art Academy, if they could do the design for free, just as, kind of a portfolio project, because it doesn't have to be that complicated. It doesn't have to be, it's a nice little design project for somebody to knock out, maybe just for the credit, if we could. And that would save us probably $800 or so if we could do that.
I have a question, Jim, that I envision it being low enough that people can read,
Right.
tasteful enough. It's
Right.
not like the neon
Not
station
no,
sign.
absolutely
Okay,
not.
of course. But I don't know what the restrictions and requirements and all that are for the area. So I'm envisioning something similar in stature, size to what's in front of the town hall, but maybe with some pictures or design.
I was even thinking something.
Or even one that's on a stand that
Yeah,
you
I was
look
thinking
at.
something
like-
smaller. The two examples I was thinking, if you go to a very neglected little park next to the Baldwin Bridge,
Yes,
at the end
Yep.
of Old Bridge Road
Yep.
over there, there's a couple of informational signs,
yes.
something like
I
that.
think that would be nice,
very
so you could look
unobtrusive. Yeah,
down and read it.
There's also the informational sign that they put up in Haynes Park for the Rogers Lake Dam
right,
and the Fishway.
right.
Yeah.
There's
And I
that.
like the ones on the,
Horseneck Creek has a good one too.
where the, what do you call it? The boardwalk that's concrete and Niantic, where you can stand there. It looks like a
Yeah.
podium. It has some
Yep.
graphics, some
Those are
history,
terrific,
and you
yeah.
can read it. That's what I would picture.
Yeah.
And it would be in keeping with the size and the height of the
Exactly.
stone a little bit.
And what's at Horseneck Creek too?
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, that's
I just
exactly what I
don't
was.
want something that says, welcome
No.
to Soundview,
Absolutely not, no.
established in.
No. This
No.
is more. If you're
Park
in the
setting.
park,
Mhm.
it's there for you to look at. And
That's
if
my
you
only
bring-
concern.
if you bring kids down to the park, something
Yeah,
that
you walk around
that
and
they can
climb on it.
reference
Yep.
while you talk about this stuff.
Totally. But I think it's a great idea.
I am more than happy to reach out to the academy and to see if I can speak to Wendy and Michael and see if they think there's anyone there that might be interested in taking that on.
Could
And
we also offer it to the high school art
Sure,
department
yeah.
as well?
Yeah.
Because I think we have a lot of very talented and gifted
Yeah,
young artists,
yeah,
and
this is definitely something.
we may make a contest out of it or
Yeah, I mean,
something like that. And it might spark some more interest at the school age level.
Yeah, it's someone who's just familiar with, being able to put something into, the design format, whatever
And if they can touch it and see it, I think it
Adobe
makes
thing,
Yep.
if they're familiar with the software, they can do this and design it
Do you have-
pretty easily.
do you envision some photos of Old Town View or?
We could, we could, there would be some visuals. So whether, you don't want it to be clip art. So yeah,
No.
to have,
And the signs over at the boardwalk, they show you the old trolleys
Right.
in town
right.
or some of the buildings or
Right.
the fish, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
you're not going to put the brand more up there, are you?
I have an extensive collection of photos and postcards and,
Yes, I know. And the Historical Society
Yeah.
might be able to lend some
Yeah.
information. I'm sure you've already considered that.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay, so Jim, I will reach out to the various art issues to see, and
Okay.
I'm going to, if someone takes that bait, I'm
Okay.
going to forward them to you.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
that'd be great. Okay, so I had sent to you before last week's proposed meeting, the proposal from a streetlight audit from Tanko Lighting. And I did have a phone conversation with them today to get a little bit more information. So basically what happens is they asked for Michelle in the fall because Michelle usually works with Tanko because if someone calls and says the street light's out,
Mhm.
she takes note and handles the maintenance issues. So they had reached out to her and asked for her to send them the current list of 391 streetlights that they have on their bill. And when they did, they said when you went from Eversource doing your maintenance to the town owning the street lamps and doing the maintenance through Tanko, basically they did an audit, and that was in 2017. They prepped for it in 16, did the audit in 2017, and then did the conversion also later that year. So, we paid Eversource for the electricity,
Mhm.
but we have a different rate because it doesn't include maintenance anymore. I'm sorry. Because it doesn't include maintenance, plus we're using new LED lights that it
Mhm.
provides less in electricity. So earlier this year, when Eversource and Tanko got together and looked at their list, Eversource said, hey, we've got some lights on. We see some lights on there that we think are dead, meaning they're not there anymore. We're not sure that you own this or you're in charge of the maintenance or we are. And that sort of set up some red flags to Tanko, like maybe we need to look at some of these. And I'll give you an example. When the pole was changed out at the corner of Smith Neck, Frontier took the pole down. The light was ours. They could have left the light, but they took it. And they did not notify us that they were taking a pole with a light. And it wasn't until the homeowners called us and said, the light is gone. And then we had to get a new one put up there, which cost us not
Significant
hundreds,
amount,
but
yeah.
it was hundreds of dollars. So he said lots of times this is what happens. They take a pole, they redo a pole, they don't tell you that they took the light, you're still paying for it. So as you know, this proposal I thought was for 391 lights was a tad expensive. He said to me that if you have a light that is on, that's paying at the old rate, it could be up to about $100 a year that they're doing it. Now, if you have 10 lights, that's $1,000. And if it's been for 6 years, that's some money that we could recoup because basically you go back to Eversource and ask for the back charges to be given back to us. So what's going to happen tomorrow is I'm going to forward him the most recent bill from Eversource. We're billed quarterly, we believe, Anita was gonna double check, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it's done for me, for the lights, because of the fact it's not a huge amount. So they think they bill us quarterly. She's going to provide that to me, which I will send to Tanko, and by them looking at that can give us a little bit more information of what we're possibly looking at. And then we're gonna have to weigh the options. Is it, if we break even, that's okay, because then going forward, we won't be charged and we'll have a new updated audit. If it's a type of thing where we're not, then we're gonna have to discuss how we're gonna go about this. Because the next possible thing would be that if there was any in question, that we'd have to get someone in our town to somewhat do an audit. I mean, and that could be,
Physical audit. Got it.
right. And I don't know if Jude and I want to drive around and do that. So,
Well, we'd have to when the lights are on, so maybe it'll imbibe, well, coffee, hot chocolate, tea.
yeah.
Hmm.
Then just hold on one second. I've got the tax overpayments. Shoot, this one I have. I'm sure they're here. Hold on. Stuck to this. Suzanne has one tax overpayment that we need to look at to approve for this month. Jim, this is yours. It is the first one on the list.
Thank you.
And we are going to need a motion to, since it is over the $2,400 that I'm allowed to sign off on. But you can see the list, and this is an overpayment from online and from the previous year. So this is what needs to be refunded to that taxpayer.
I will make a motion to refund $4,574.24 to the taxpayer McDougal, Bradley, and Hillary for the tax year 2023.
I will second.
Okay, any further discussion? I'll just say that I love the fact, the way that Suzanne provides this information to
Great.
us,
Yes.
and that she's really doing a great job about taking care of overpayments, but also payments that hadn't been taken care of for years. So,
Yes.
no further discussion. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of Jude's motion to prepay Bradley and Hillary McDougal $4,574.24, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. Moving on to old business. As you know, at our last meeting in November, we had some discussions about the monitoring wells at Public Works. Eric Olson had provided us with some data, and Jude, you'd asked for a third quote.
I did, and I spoke to Eric and gave him a name that I wasn't sure did that or not, but I expect he reached out and tried to come up with a third one. Whether it happened or not, I don't know.
He actually listened to you
Yep.
and I think reached out to that person. And then also he reached out to Ron Turner because they're using a monitoring well service.
Oh.
He has not gotten the quote, but he hopes that he will be getting it soon. That Thanksgiving holiday changes a lot of people's lives. He did hear back from the Connecticut state of Connecticut, said that their response was to do 3 wells.
Okay. Yep.
So we are hoping that that's all they want. We had talked about the possibility of 4,
Right.
one of the quotes did. So he'll have more information, but he did have a great conversation with Ron Turner and what they had gone through when they were looking for a well monitoring system.
That should save about $7,000. It turned out, I think it was going to be about $7,000 per
Well,
test. So that's good.
right. And then also there was a long conversation at Board of Finance that night. And, Anna Ryder, one of our Board of Finance people, has a background in this.
Yep.
And so Anna and Dave Kelsey was also, which phase are we doing this? Phase 1, phase 2? So they were both into it. And I said
Good. There you
to
go.
Anna, I said to Eric Olson, I said, talk to Anna, talk to Dave Kelsey, get the information that they want, because they're going to have to approve it too.
Good. Thank
So
you.
we'll go from there. Swanbrook Sluiceway rebuild update. So the wood has been delivered to the
Okay,
beach
yeah.
last week. there was some activity. I talked to Christian at Gwenmore. So they were there for a couple of days supposed to be there. I did go down once. Unfortunately, they're all wearing headphones.
I know, I've
you
been
wave-
down there a couple of
you wave.
times.
And they wave back. And sometimes I go like this and they'll
I'm
go,
like, huh?
yeah, okay. So I have
Pretty
not,
impressive.
it is,
Yeah.
watching the whole thing take place. But, the easement also, I just wanted to give you a heads up on that, is that Eric, Callahan from, Sussman and Shapiro did a draft of the easement, sent it to Nancy O'Brien. She forwarded it to their lawyer. Then she found out that their lawyer didn't really have them on retainer any longer. So she had to go through all of that, the hoops there. Then their lawyer got back to Eric with her questions and concerns, and they've come back to a newer draft. But there's one question where they're both sort of questioning it because it's about our insurance. So today Eric reached out to me and asked me for our insurance company for Kerma. So I forwarded it to someone at Kerma and put Eric on it, and they're going to have a little conversation, and then hopefully we'll get the easement done. This all started way before construction started, but I'm waiting to see if the sluiceway or the easement will be done first. But it is moving along. And again, a million thanks to Nancy O'Brien, Scott Bollinger, and the crews down at Miami Beach and Hawks Nest, who monitor that sluiceway, and for Scott and his wife Kathleen and Gary Fox and everyone else who goes in and powers through to unplug it if Ed cannot get there in time. And Ed and his team are also doing their best to keep it open and running. Any questions on Swanbrook?
Nope.
Okay, senior center building update. Senior center is moving along. I think, have you been in for a tour?
I have not. I was going to call Jerry this week and see if I could. Yeah.
And you
I have been, yes.
So things are really happening, and that's all really good. I think some nice things are, last week, CCMI had some monitors in their bid, and it was Cyber Monday. And I called them and said, hey, you have some monitors and they're going to cost us like $7,800. And would you mind if we purchase them through Cyber Monday and perhaps save some money? And the Jared at CCMI said, I don't. So what we did is Tom Meyer went shopping on Amazon.
Good.
He sent the specs to Jared. Jared okayed the specs and said, this is fine. And we saved $3,900.
Awesome.
So
Not
that
pay
was,
retail.
I mean, it would have been nice to go local, but
No.
so those will be delivered here and will be stored here until it's time. But CCMI is still going to do the mounts and the installation for us, and that's all included in their original quote. So that's perfect. They also we've had some furniture updates. We had the trying of the chairs.
I
They're
saw that.
currently in Michelle's office.
Yep.
The seniors have weighed in. There's a meeting on Wednesday night, the 11th, and some final decisions will be made. So that's it. Eric Olson and I are going to be the furniture installation king and queen as after it gets ordered, and be following up.
You're
on
the
that.
interior design decorator.
No, I'm not. That's Greg. That's Greg Nucci and Kelsey.
Oh, yes. Greg would not want to lose
No,
that.
they're picking everything. We
Okay.
just said that we would be there
Yep.
to make sure that things go as planned on the day. And there is I did also have a punch list meeting with Tom Meyer, Eric Olson, Stephanie, because there's a lot of things that we're responsible for as a town.
Mhm.
So it's the, it's the last minute, the hookups for the computers.
Mhm.
So what do you bring in first? It's like the chicken and the egg.
Mhm.
Well, you really need the desks at the new desk there because you need to be able to put the monitors on, make sure the wires
Right.
are long enough, everything's going to hook
Yep.
up correctly. So it's debating. And then, but if you bring the furniture in first, then what happens if they, nick a wall? But Newfield said that it would probably be better to bring the furniture in first. They'll still be around because they'll be finishing the
Mhm.
kitchen. and hopefully that'll go along. Any other questions on that?
Nope.
Are we still looking at March?
There are, the worst case scenario
Pretty
is
impressive.
still before the first day of spring. So I think it's like March 18th or something. That's worst case scenario.
Well, that's awesome.
So the weather holds, everything comes in on time. We should be good. So my birthday's the 13th, so maybe we'll aim for that as a present. Okay, we go to, and we'll go to Selectmen's general discussion. So I'm just gonna jump in quick with that. Road and Public Safety had asked for an audit of how many signs we might have. Ed, said that we have about 20 various mileage signs for speed signs.
You mean that aren't
Speed
being
limit.
used or ones
They're
that are
not
up?
in use.
Good, can we?
And then one stop sign. And maybe one about curb ahead or the curvy. Now, I will say, I learned a very interesting fact at the CCM conference that the correctional sites in the state of Connecticut, I believe it's Summers, does all the DOT
still do.
signs.
I hadn't heard that, but I didn't. Awesome.
And they sell them to us at a very reasonable price. So Ed has been going out to a private vendor.
No.
And now I learned, the other thing I learned too is they do reupholstery. So if any of these chairs
Mhm.
needed to be reupholstered, Jude,
Well,
I know
good
you'd
find.
love, maybe you'd like cushions for these. That I know, but there are so many
You
things
need a
that
bumper in the back. It's so deep.
they also do all the pins for all the snowplows for the state.
Awesome.
So they said, we can grind a pin and have it ready for you if you need it.
Without the backlog of other. Awesome.
And reduced rates. And
Good.
plus, we're training people to go into the job market and we're keeping the money within the state.
I think it's
I
awesome.
thought it was,
Keeps the cost down.
they even do signs for doorways and things like that with Braille and everything.
Awesome.
So they're popping in, I think, next week just to see me, to see
Did
what's
it,
happening around town.
sorry, did it give us any details on the speed limits, like of the 20 signs? How many
or
He
what?
wasn't in the office when he,
Okay.
and I didn't want him to go back and start counting for
Right,
me,
right,
but I will find out. I know that we're interested in like Sill Lane,
Yeah.
adding some more. But I think with the correctionals, I don't think we'd have as much trouble getting something here.
Because while you're on traffic or road and safety, I had a question on it. The digital signs that they had, have they been calibrated yet? Are they ready to be mounted and can we put them into use? I know we've had them for a little while and road and safety asked that they be parked Mile Creek, Sill Lane.
Well, I can only tell you that I was being driven home last night by my husband, and I believe there was one flashing at us on either Brown's Lane
Good.
or
Is it
Or
one of the
Mile
new
Creek.
ones, I hope? I mean,
I'm
we're using them, I
assuming
hope.
it is, and I will double check with Matt
Okay.
Weber tomorrow.
I had a couple other little
Yeah.
things. I think we all know that Chimney Point Marina, which is now Ferry Landing, is going to be the staging area for a lot of the work on the railroad bridge. And they have some docks that they're looking to get rid of. And I know Horseneck Creek wants to build a couple. Is there any that they would be free? And I'm not sure what kind of shape they're in. Is it something that we would be able to take a few if we need it and hold them until they're needed, rather than having them go to the dump?
So I'm going to ask you because I'm not familiar. Is Chimney Rock on our side?
No, Chimney Point. It's where the
Okay.
big smokestack is.
Yes. And
Yep.
Michael Barnes came and
Yep.
asked me about those, called me
Yep.
one morning. Can I get them if I have them?
Yep.
I don't know. I don't think those were available to him, but he's now looking at some of the deep docks because those are going to be taken down. And he said he was in the other morning. And so I
Okay.
asked him and he
Um,
said he was going to look at those.
I think my husband may be working on that project and some of those people have come to him about some of the docks. So maybe between the two of them, they can work it
Okay.
out.
And I do know that when
And the-
Michael first went to Ed
Yes.
and said, not enough room at Public Works to store them. I don't know how big they are, but I really
You
feel
can
that they're
usually stack them.
And I
And we're
don't-
not talking about
forever.
300 feet. We're talking a couple of pieces. So
Right.
it might be worth somewhere.
And they don't have to be inside.
No,
They can be
they go in the water.
So we have to talk to Ed.
Yeah, if we could talk about that. Other question, I had digital signs that I know we had a trooper resign this past spring, summer,
Mhm.
and I believe we invoiced him. Is payment being made or has something been worked out?
We sent a letter
Mhm.
requesting, and we sent a second letter. And then
Okay.
we checked with our labor attorney. And it appears that his offer letter, which was created by the labor attorney, had something added to it by someone else here at town hall.
Okay.
Perhaps a former selectman
Mhm.
who added that in. And that's not something you can do.
So none of it is
The
the
five, so
training, any of
it
it?
was supposed to be just the school
Yeah.
tuition, which is
Yeah.
about $5,000. So that is not
Okay, well,
available. And according to the labor attorney, we would spend more fighting it
I get it.
than we would getting it back.
I find it unfortunate if that's the case that the same labor attorney worked with the person at the town hall and finding out about it. Now, we could have saved sending the invoice, if we knew ahead of time.
Well,
Yeah.
it
Not on you.
he didn't know it was in the offer letter until I raised the
Okay.
question.
And I mentioned this to you before recently, and I haven't talked to Jim. When, I don't know how it's worked in the past, but when key personnel for the town are hired, say Pedidante leaves, something like that, I would like the board to be involved in either interviewing or the process of hiring key personnel in the future. And I don't know how you two feel about it, but I think it would be important.
I don't have a problem with key personnel,
Mhm.
part-time people that work underneath somebody else, so that if somebody like was hired for the
Oh, if Suzanne hired somebody to work for tax season,
Yeah.
agreed, or
I
the
mean-
summer intern,
we
but
try to do it, but certainly anyone that would like to be involved, if we get to that point where someone major is going to need to be replaced.
or if we even create a new position, I think it would be nice if we were all involved in it.
Okay.
Okay. That's all I have.
Do you have anything?
I have nothing further.
Okay, so hearing no other, it is 6:13. Zoning will be very happy with us that we're
Mhm.
leaving a little early tonight.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I will second.
And meeting is adjourned, 6:13. I don't think we have to we'll take a vote. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.